Hi everybody, like I promised, I'm here with one of my few best friends on this planet, Callie Servey, and she has a story for you.
My birthday's in October.
Yeah, and we filmed Sweet Ladies in October, and we were about to release it in October. We're going to release it in November, like I said, November 5. Let me bring this closer. See, she's beautiful, I told you. Well, Callie had to deal with this kind of issues since she was like 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah, I would say, well, 15, 16 was when it got bigger and bigger, but it started when I was real young.
In the meantime, I put a video on the internet and I promised people that you, now a beautiful, clean woman, mother of two wonderful kids. One of them is my piano student, a wonderful wife, a great artist. And I also told people here online on Facebook and all my social media channels that you are helping already a lot of younger people to get rid of that, to deal with the trauma that pushed them into all kinds of addictions in the first place.
Yeah, I get asked that a lot, like, how did you get into that? What happened? Well, you mentioned trauma, and I've learned, through talking to people and things like that, trauma doesn't have to be like this huge activating event, some big traumatic experience, but trauma looks different for each person. Mm-hmm. Even if it's something small, doesn't even have to one person, that may not be a traumatic experience, but to the person experience it, how they deal with it can become a source of trauma. And I don't have like a big activating event when I was young that started things, but I think it
we're in a coffee shop, so there's some noise.
The grinder.
Yeah.
I think, I was thinking about that, and I think a lot of it was somewhere along the lines in my childhood, I felt some sort of disconnect from my family, and then I started to disconnect myself from my inner child, who I really was, and started putting who Callie really was in this box.
Okay, and what led to that? I mean, do you have troubles with your siblings, family, mommy, daddy, grandma?
By the standards of the world, I had a good family, and my parents were good to me. They raised me as best that they knew how to, and raised me in a decent environment. I didn't have my parents weren't alcoholics, they weren't abusive. But it's interesting, I had found a box of my journals from when I was really little. But in my journals, I was writing nobody gets me, nobody understands me, I feel like I don't belong in this family, was I adopted, these beliefs in my head that I guess it becomes a false belief system, because I started to believe that, I'm disconnected, I don't belong, I'm misunderstood, and as I got older, I guess I wanted to be free, and I wanted to be free from that.
How was your first contact with substance? Do you remember how old were you, in what kind of circumstance this happened? Where were you? It was a party, it was...
Yeah, drinking, the first time I drank was doing theater. I was doing theater, okay. And, expressing myself in the arts, and I really loved it and enjoyed it. And some of the older, kids in the theater were we would go out back and drink. And so that was kind of my first experience with that, and it was... I guess now that I'm thinking on it, that experience was I belonged, I was having fun, I was connected to people, and, we were having drinks, and it was fun. And so that I started to get the connection that maybe I wasn't getting elsewhere with these friends that were doing these things. And so then, the next time it was a substance, it was, with another friend. And it wasn't like a peer pressure situation where it's you try this, do it. It was I'm connecting with these people and we're having fun. That was rooted somewhere, as a child.
I suppose that this was building up. So I'm asking you all these questions because a lot of people from Europe and from, Asia and from some Arab countries are going to watch these videos, and in that part of the world is not such a big deal to be into drugs. America is more exposed to that. A lot of Europeans, they don't understand that the drugs are part of the culture in America, so that's why I'm helping them to understand by asking you a lot of questions. So now my next question would be how this was building up, right? And how far did you get?
Yeah, so eventually, I mean, one thing led to the other, and here I am. I think this is my perception of it. Here I am, this inner child and inner happiness is stuffed in this box, but it's trying to come out, and I'm feeding it with these things that are fulfilling me, I guess. So I, all through high school, I guess that would be the times where I got, then it was parties and friends and going out. And
what was the frequency of these parties and friends and going out?
As often as I could. Oh, I'm going to go to this friend's house and that friend's house, and we're going to do this and that. And I was lying to get my way to be able to hang out with friends. But on the other side of it, so I would go to friends' house whose parents didn't care. They didn't care if we drank and did drugs and hung out in the basement. They were drinking and doing drugs themselves. So it was kind of like it perpetuated.
So that became like a normality for you to see that around you. So it is not looking strange anymore. It's like
no, it's not looking strange anymore. And I guess those friendships and those people became my family. Like or people that I wanted to be around all the time.
How about money?
Money, like where did I get money for this?
Yeah.
I started working actually when I was really young. So I worked when I was 14 and a half. And then when I was 15, I worked at an amusement park. And so I had money. I never stole money from my parents or took money from my parents. It was always kind of my own.
Okay.
I always took care of my own things.
Are these substances expensive?
Yeah, for me, I mean, in the beginning, it was a lot of drinking, and then as it progressively got worse, and I tried, more drugs and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, it's expensive, and my way of dealing with or wanting to deal with that lifestyle was that I just decided that, well, if I don't have money to always buy these things, then I'm going to sell them so that I'm going to make an income. So